I think I saw you in my peripheral vision, somewhere in the shadows, in the misted distance of this glass. What if I went looking, came to find you? What if I came to find you? What if I were to press my palm flat against this icy reflection? Instead of the cold solidity I was expecting, I found something warm, something fluid. I would push my fingers into this glass like a knife into honey. I'd watch my hands slip on through, my reflected self rippling, glass rippling around my wrists like the ocean around the rocks. What if I went looking, came to find you? What if I came to find you? I think I saw him again. Saw him in my peripheral vision. He saw me red on the screen in that other world before the fluxing. He saw me red on the screen in that other world before the fluxing.
For an instant I saw her there, somewhere in the shadows. What if I came to find you?
I think I saw him again. Saw him in my peripheral vision. He was important to me. My husband, I think. In that other place. In that other world before the fluxing. We had a life together. He saw me red on the screen. I was a photographer. Or was I an actress? I wish I had some photographs. I wish I'd photographed the life we had together. I can almost see him in the shadows.
I had a dream. I had to get out, take a walk. I had a dream about the fluxing when worlds disintegrated and the fabric between realities became fluid. Vines and tree roots grabbed at my arms and ankles like monstrous fingers. Shadow gas with snaking necks and blazing eyes fell on me, spitting and hissing like geese, their long necks swaying in a malevolent dance. I hoped, I prayed that some uncharted soft border would appear, that I could rip through the membrane of this reality into a safer world.
The three-dimensional scene is crushed into two dimensions, so that at its most extreme point of distortion, the crouching figure to the bottom right has her mask-like face on back to front. It appears as though the front view of her head has been roughly attached to the back view of photomontage, inspired by fruit and blues, white, red and orange of the background all sharply outlined. They sit on the same strip, tranquil in tone.
My mind drifted on the foaming waves, momentarily unshackled from time or space or logic, until it washed over the sands and encountered consciousness. For an instant I saw her there, somewhere in the shadows, the artist, in the misted distance of a glass. In the misted distance of a glass.
The 244 times 173 centimetre painting covered a canvas in Indian red barnet down the centre by sticking a thin strip of European-influenced biomorphic style in reference to its own article. The first man was a lighter cadmium. The artist was the thin band, only a few centimetres thick down the unevenly spread gallery wall. The motive force for red intended to invoke the terror of the New York school, whose style became known as the unknowable, dense masking tape. And so you run, barely noticing the water splash on your ankles, the sand between your toes. The beach stretches ahead of you, warm and red. You stop and gaze down to the ripples at your feet. There's a movement beneath the surface, something bright and mysterious. Your nostrils flare open. You lower yourself onto a crouch, your toes and the balls of your feet pressing hard into the sand. It's a fish, smooth and gleaming, hues of fire and ochre dancing in its scales. It flickers like a flame in the push and pull of the tide. The fish darts off and you throw yourself into the water. You clutch for it and feel the slippery flesh between your fingers, but it's gone before you can get a grip. And now you're falling, splashing into the swirl of sand and sea. The water's like bony fingers reaching into your chest, grasping your lungs. You thrash with your feet and hands and gulp in a salty mouthful. As you clamber to your feet, you half laugh and half splutter, bent over double, eyes and nose streaming. It's a few seconds before you can see and hear again properly. Crows calling you. The crow's calling you. The crow's calling you. The crow's calling you. There was a time when you would have trembled at the sound of his voice and rushed to do as he commanded. But he has very little power now. He's getting old. His body is diseased. You're no longer afraid of the old bird, but you do still have a sense of duty, some compulsion to care for him. "Ah!" says the crow. You peer through the sun's glare at the smoke rising from the fire. The crow's a black lump hopping up and down in front of this. Your eyes itch and burn. You rub them with the heels of your hands and yell, "Yes, I'm coming," says the crow. Irritably, you jog from the shore towards the bird. Where the beach stops, you clamber up the wall of rock. You dig your fingertips into dry mud and pull yourself onto the grass. The crow is perched on the boulder where you left him. When you approach, he flaps his good wing. He's feeling sorry for himself, old fool. Using a sharpened stick to dig through the tangle of grass onto the soil beneath you, search. Eventually you pluck a worm from the earth. Your cupped hands come together to prevent its escape. Walking towards the crow, you ignore the wriggling between your palms. You dangle it before his beak. He grabs it greedily, his black, empty eyes studying your face. Careful not to burn yourself, you remove a fish by its tail from the fire. Blow on it, flick the charred scales with your fingernails. You crunch your teeth into it, sucking flesh from the bones. Catching sight of your reflection in the drink puddle, you spit meat out onto the fire and drop remains into the crow's boulder. He greedily pecks, pulls at it, feeding on its guts. Strange, these sensibilities still retained from some other life, some other world. expatriate Cuban who studied at the University of Body Molds, often embellished with stones, wood, berries, shells, and lay in a death-like pose on the silhouette.
What if I went looking, came to find you? I think I saw you in my peripheral vision, somewhere in the shadows, in the misted distance of this glass. I'd watch my hands slip on through, my reflected self rippling, glass rippling around my wrists like the ocean around the rocks. What if I went looking, came to find you?
In the dark I sat. In the dark I sat and I looked at you. Instead of the cold solidity I was expecting, I found something warm, something fluid. I pressed my fingers into the glass, like clay, watched my hand slip on through, my reflected self rippling, glass rippling around my wrists like the ocean around rocks, and I stepped through into the fluxing. And I stepped through into the fluxing. Your mind swoops, condensed droplets and icy crystals part as you move amongst them, and a memory comes to you. You once drove with a boy, James the Gopoline, your husband, through the highlands. You remember now the way the mist parted before you as you edged forward, pierced by the beam of the headlamp. She rises above cities, above the cloud, bursting through into the black, like a raindrop perforating the invisible outer film layer of a puddle. She soars into the vacuum, passing planets, suns, nebulae, galaxies. Colour and light spray over her like furious rain. Her voyage lasts an infinity, or the blinking of an eye.